Have you ever teetered on the edge of existence and discovered that the mind's darkest whispers can be silenced forever? On a spring evening in San Jose, 8-year-old Bill McDonald's cough roared into a life-threatening crisis. By the time he reached the ICU, his fragile body lay motionless, and his heart monitor had flatlined. He had died. Yet, in that timeless void, Bill's awareness detached from pain and fear, hovering weightless above his lifeless form. As machines fell silent and nurses fought to revive him, an unexpected calm blossomed in the emptiness. Then a golden light warm as a sunrise, distilled into pure warmth, seeped through the darkness, pulsing like a heartbeat across his crown and filling his soul. In that sacred glow, Bill realized the first secret. The moment you refuse to engage with fear, you open your mind to an abundance far greater than mere survival. What he learned next, the simple, life-changing method to interrupt every negative thought and step into overflowing abundance, shattered everything he thought he knew about the power of the mind. Ready to see how a child's near-death glimpse revealed the key to an unstoppable, positive life? Drop a 777 in the comments and prepare to follow Bill's journey from the brink of death into the heart of lasting joy, prosperity, and peace. My name is Reverend Bill McDonald, and long before I ever felt called to the pulpit, I was an 8.5-year-old boy fighting for every ragged breath. I grew up in California, the youngest of 3 siblings, chasing tumbleweeds across sun-baked yards and dreaming of exploring far-off lands. But one spring evening in San Jose, everything changed. It began with a stubborn cough that turned into a roar of fluid in my chest. Within hours, I could barely draw air into my lungs. My parents rushed me to the pediatrician, who watched my oxygen levels plummet and my little body struggle. By the time they wheeled me into the ICU at San Jose Memorial Hospital, I felt as though invisible hands were squeezing my ribcage tighter and tighter, crushing every ounce of hope. They laid me on a narrow gurney, and I remember the antiseptic bite in my nose, the cold touch of rubber gloves, the harsh glare of overhead fluorescence. 2 physicians knelt at my side, preparing to drain my lungs with large-bore needles. Each insertion felt like a shard of ice plunged into my spine. I tried to scream, but only a faint wheeze escaped. Machines whirred and beeped around me as I faded in and out of consciousness. Then came the jagged moment when everything went black. The ventilator's steady hiss was replaced by an unsettling silence. I felt the last fragile spark of awareness flicker my chest, no longer rising and falling. My heart monitor flatlined. Machines fell silent. Nurses shouted. In that instant, I crossed an invisible threshold. I died. But death, I would soon discover, was not an end, but a doorway. As the medical team fought to revive me, I felt a curious lightness, as if gravity itself had released its grip. My awareness disconnected from my body. I hovered weightless above my own lifeless form. The bright ICU lights, once harsh and clinical, now seemed distant stars in a pale sky. Tubes and lines hung limp. The nurses' frantic motions blurred. All that remained was my consciousness, clear and unafraid. A single question echoed through that strange void. Could I, a dying child, pass beyond this doorway? In that weightless state, time lost meaning. Seconds stretched into eons. I watched the doctor's frantic attempts, compressions, adrenaline pushes, oxygen masks, yet I was neither patient nor observer, but pure awareness. My body lay motionless, machines silent, and yet I existed, connected to all that was, transcending all that I had been. Then an unexpected sensation washed over me, a profound calm. The fear that had racked my young heart vanished. In its place bloomed an emptiness vast, quiet, ripe with possibility. In that emptiness, the first secret became clear. Only when every fearful thought falls away can you glimpse the abundance waiting beyond. No longer tethered to pain or panic, I felt the edges of that void begin to glow. A golden light seeped in the color of dawn, distilled into pure warmth. It pulsed like a living heartbeat, weaving through the darkness. I sensed it first on my crown, then radiating through my chest, down to my toes. It filled every corner of my awareness, dissolving the void into an ocean of light. As that light replaced the black silence, another question arose. Would I cross the threshold, or would I cling to the safety of my old fears? In that eternal moment, I teetered between two worlds. One foot had stepped beyond death, the other clung to the uncertainty of life. The doctor's voices grew distant again. The monitors stayed silent. It was just me, suspended in a golden sea of possibility. Somewhere deep within that radiance, I found the courage to lean forward. Yet I hesitated, remembering every moment of self-doubt, every scrap of anger, every ounce of regret I had carried. Shame flared. How could someone as flawed as I deserve this peace? But the light answered without words. It pulsed with forgiveness. It embraced me with unconditional love I had never known. In that sacred embrace, the final piece clicked into place. Negativity draws its power from the mind's engagement with it. When you refuse to entertain fear, you open yourself to life's overflowing abundance. Then, as gently as a tide pulling back, the golden light receded. I felt my awareness sliding back into my fragile body. The ventilator hiss returned. Monitors snapped back to life. Nurses' shouts turned urgent again. "He's back! We've got a pulse!" My eyes fluttered open to sterile white walls and faces lined with relief. My chest felt battered but alive. I inhaled a shaky, breath-sweet, miraculous air. In that first gasp, I carried away something more vital than oxygen. A truth that would shape every moment of my life thereafter. On the other side of fear, I realized as I clutched the bedsheet, lies the secret to an abundant life, one free from the tyranny of negative thought. It was a promise whispered in a child's final breath hand, answered in a soul's first awakening. Thus began my journey out of the ICU and into a new life, framed by that night's revelation. To stop negative thoughts cold and open wide, the doors to love, possibility, and unending abundance. When my body finally lay still on that hospital bed, the world I had known slipped away as if it were nothing more than a fading mirage. The steady beeps of monitors ceased, and the frantic voices of nurses became distant echoes. All sensation of flesh and pain dissolved, leaving behind a profound emptiness and infinite void of absolute darkness. In that boundless night, there was no sense of up or down, no measure of distance. I hovered in pure awareness, free from the constraints of breath and heartbeat. Normally, fear would have snuck in, but here, there was only silence, and in that silence, a deep calm settled over me. It was as if the very concept of fear had been stripped away, leaving a blank canvas of pure potential. Then, in the heart of that darkness, a single pinprick of light appeared. At first, it was so small I almost missed it, but as I focused, it began to swell, igniting the blackness with a soft glow. The light coalesced into a tunnel, its walls shimmering through shades of smoky gray, shifting seamlessly into molten silver, then deepening into the warm glow of liquid gold. The tunnel breathed with me, each pulse urging me forward. I surrendered to its pull. Though I felt no limbs to move, no air to propel me, I glided upward through the corridor of light. With every inch of ascent, questions flared in my mind, questions of worthiness, of fear, of what awaited beyond this iridescent path. But the tunnel answered only with its steady radiance, dissolving doubt in its golden glow. At the tunnel's end, I emerged into a realm of pure, radiant brilliance. The light here was so intense it seemed to pulse with life, saturating every corner of my awareness. It was not a harsh glare, but a gentle embrace, all-encompassing warmth that felt like home. In that living light, figures began to materialize. beings of pure luminescence, stepping forward in silent procession, their forms glowing with an inner fire. Among them, one presence stood out, a form of brilliant white gold, both familiar and transcendent. I knew without words that this was Christ, living embodiment of unconditional love. His gaze met mine, and in that instant, every hidden regret, every secret shame, every lingering doubt of my soul was laid bare. Yet his look held not accusation but compassion so vast it shattered the last walls of my heart. Time ceased to exist as his silent love poured through me. I felt the weight of my errors moments when I had clung to anger, succumbed to fear, or judged others harshly. Shame surged, threatening to drown me, but the light around his form responded with waves of forgiveness. It flowed into every corner of my being, erasing guilt and replacing it with a profound sense of worthiness. In that silent exchange, I glimpsed the highest truth. True abundance begins the moment we choose to release negative thoughts and accept unreserved love. A gentle current stirred behind me, a tender invitation to return. Though the thought of leaving that realm of forgiving light filled me with reluctance, I felt a deeper resolve stirring within. This revelation was not mine alone to cherish. The tunnel of light reformed, beckoning me back toward life's fragile vessel. As I drifted down the radiant corridor, the silver and gold faded into the soft gray of the void, then into the familiar darkness of the hospital room. I felt my awareness slide back into my 8-year-old body, as if threading a needle between two worlds. A gasp of air rushed into my lungs sharp, sweet, and miraculous. Monitors sprang to life around me, and the worried voices returned, urgent and hopeful. He's breathing, he's responding. I opened my eyes to sterile white walls and tearful faces. My chest rose and fell on its own, the miracle of breath restored. Yet deep within, I carried the imprint of that living light and, with it, the knowledge that I had been entrusted with a singular secret, the power to halt any negative thought in its tracks and replace it with a surge of love. In the stillness that followed, I lay quietly, the echo of that luminous love settling in my heart. I knew that this was only the beginning of a journey, far greater than I could yet imagine one, in which the lessons of that golden realm would guide every step toward a truly abundant life. As I lay in that quiet haze of recovery, the images from beyond the tunnel began to unfurl in my mind, visions of a life yet to be lived. Snippets of joy and heartbreak intertwined like threads in a tapestry. Though my body still trembled, I felt a renewed clarity. Even before my first breath in this world, my soul had charted its course. I saw a teenage girl with bright eyes and mischievous, laughter-me future wife. We met at 14, drawn together by an invisible current of familiarity. I felt her hand in mine, our shared dreams unfolding in sunlit afternoons. The moment crystallized. Long before either of us knew one another, our spirits had whispered promises of partnership, of building a family rooted in love. Then the scene shifted to a far-off battlefield, thunderous with the roar of helicopters. I was a young soldier in Vietnam, tasked with commands I could not reconcile with my conscience. I remembered the major's order to open fire, to trust the uniform rather than my heart. But in that suspended moment, I chose refusal over obedience. My gunner, sensing my certainty, stood beside me. Together, we defied our orders. As we hovered above a dirt road, thousands of lives hinged on our decision. A group of children in black pajamas, clutching shovels, emerged from the haze, innocent faces fleeing to safety. Had we obeyed the order, their laughter would have died in an instant. Yet by listening to that inner voice, we honored a higher duty, to preserve life, not extinguish it. In that vision, I understood that every hardship and triumph I would face had been prearranged, selected by my own soul before incarnation. as lessons and opportunities to embody compassion. These revelations coalesced into a profound truth. Our destinies are not accidents, but deliberate creations of the soul. Every bond, every challenge, every triumph had been chosen to guide me toward my purpose. My heart swelled at the realization that I had already lived 63 years of marriage, countless moments of fatherhood, and years of service not by fate, but by my own soul's decree. Awake now in body once more, I carried with me the certainty that every experience, past and future, had been manifest before my first breath. With this knowledge came a sacred responsibility to honor the blueprint written in that realm of light, aligning my thoughts and actions with the compassionate heart that had guided me there. As the gravity of this mission settled over me, I felt the first stirrings of a method that would transform my inner world, the power to interrupt every negative thought as it arises, replacing it with a mantra that had echoed through the tunnel's gold: I choose love. In that simple affirmation, I held the key to breaking the cycle of fear, regret, and anger, and opening the door to an abundant life, marked by forgiveness and grace. Though my body still bore the scars of that night, my spirit was unbreakable, anchored in the life preview that had revealed both my purpose and my path. And so, with every breath I took, I prepared to walk that path in full awareness of the soul's design, ready to turn negative thoughts into stepping stones toward the boundless love that awaited at every corner of this extraordinary journey. As I lay recovering, the vivid afterimages of that boundless realm began to crystallize into a life preview more detailed than any dream. In the quiet of the ICU, with the steady hiss of oxygen and the watchful care of nurses, my consciousness drifted once more into the scenes I had glimpsed. First, the spark of young love. I saw myself at 14, standing on a sunlit schoolyard in 1960s California. A girl with eager eyes and laughter in her step walked toward me, Grace, my future wife. In that moment, time slowed. I felt the brush of her hand against mine, an electric certainty that we were destined companions. Though neither of us knew what awaited, our souls recognized one another as old friends reunited. I witnessed weddings, anniversaries, the quiet warmth of shared mornings, and the bond of two lives entwined. In that glimpse, I understood that love is not stumbled upon, is chosen in the soul's own counsel, long before the body ever arrives. Next, the echoes of fatherhood. I saw the first cradle, rocked by gentle hands. My children, boys and girls, leapt peacefully as I stood over them, awe and devotion swelling in my heart. I watched myself teaching them to ride bicycles on summer afternoons, celebrating every wobble and triumph. At their graduations, my chest swelled with pride. At their setbacks, I felt every pang of concern as though it were my own. These weren't imagined scenes. They were soul plans, invitations to love and guide young lives into their own purpose. Then came the battlefield vision, the Vietnam sky split by rotor wash, the acrid taste of fear on my tongue. There, I was an Army helicopter door gunner, ordered to fire on anything that moved below. My finger hovered over the trigger as orders crackled in my ear. But in that pivotal heartbeat, I remembered the love I had felt in the chamber of light, and I refused. I refused to unleash death when compassion called me to protect. My gunner, trusting the conviction in my voice, held back his own fire. Moments later, we discovered a troop of children and a lone priest leading them to safety. I saw their faces again, illuminated by the dawn, relieved, innocent, alive, because we listened to our higher selves rather than blind orders. In that vision, I realized that even our greatest trials are prearranged soul contracts, designed to teach us the power of conscience over command. Together, these scenes wove a tapestry, a blueprint of love, service, and moral courage. I felt my soul's purpose to choose love in every moment, to protect life, to build family, and to inspire others to do the same. Each joy, and each ordeal I had experienced, and would yet face, had been chosen as opportunities to fulfill that higher mission. Awake now in the present, with my body healing, but my spirit alight, I understood the gravity of this foresight. To honor it, I needed a practical method to keep my thoughts aligned with love rather than fear. I recall the moment in the golden tunnel when the simplest word, "I'm home," had silenced every doubt. And a deeper truth emerged. The same light that had broken through my darkness could break the cycle of negative thinking if I learned to interrupt my own unhelpful thoughts at the instant they arose. It was in that realization that the secret crystallized. Identify the negative thought the moment it appears. Pause, don't follow it further into regret or anxiety. Replace it immediately with the mantra, "I choose love." Breathe, visualize golden light flooding your mind, washing away the shadows. This simple practice, forged in the radiance beyond death, became my lifeline back to an abundant life. By stopping fear and criticism in their tracks, I could reclaim my energy for compassion and creativity. Each time I spoke those words, I felt the same flood of warmth that had embraced me in the hospice of light. As dawn broke over the hospital windows and my body stirred with renewed purpose, I made a vow to live each day guided by the soul vision I had been shown, using the secret of "I choose love" to conquer every negative thought. In doing so, I would not only honor the path set before me, but also illuminate the way for others seeking to transform their own mindset, their lives, with the power of love. In the days after returning to breath and heartbeat, I carried within me more than a healed body. I bore the imprint of unconditional love, of my soul's blueprint, and of a pressing question: how to translate cosmic revelation into everyday life. I began to notice that, long before I lay dying, my inner world had become a battlefield of self-doubt, guilt, and fear. Each negative thought trickling through my mind like a leaky faucet, eroding my peace. Yet, in that realm of pure light, I had learned a profound truth. Our thoughts only control us if we let them run unchecked. Just as a river can be guided around an obstacle, so too can we redirect a spiraling thought toward a higher flow. I realized that the first step to true abundance was to interrupt negativity the instant it arose and replace it with the same golden love that had embraced me beyond the veil. This insight gained clarity when I remembered how, before birth, my soul had manifested every pivotal scene of my life: marriage, fatherhood, moral trials, and compassionate triumphs. If I had once summoned the courage to refuse a deadly order in Vietnam by listening to that light, then every thought I entertained now was itself an act of manifestation shaping my present and future. Dwelling on fear, what if I fail, would summon more anxiety. Replaying regret would reinforce self-condemnation. Conversely, pivoting instantly to love, "I choose love," would generate the inner environment where healing, creativity, and opportunity flourish. Guided by this revelation, I distilled a simple 4-step practice that transformed my days. First, I trained myself to notice the moment a negative thought took shape, the whisper of, "I can't handle this." Then I slammed on my internal brakes, visualizing a stop sign that halted the downward spiral. In its place, I spoke my mantra, "I choose love," and felt the energy shift. Finally, I breathed deeply, imagining golden light flooding every cell, washing away shadows and anchoring the positive change. I began applying this practice in the sterile corridors of the ICU, then at home, at work, and in every encounter. When self-doubt invaded, I reaffirmed love for my journey. When old wounds surfaced, I released resentment in favor of compassion. When uncertainty loomed, I trusted in divine guidance rather than my own fears. Colleagues and friends soon noticed my quiet confidence, A daunting project that once paralyzed me fell into focus the moment I refused to ruminate on failure. A strained relationship mended as I swapped blame for "I choose love," opening the door to honest reconciliation. Even my health improved further, as each anxious thought about recovery was replaced by gratitude for my body's resilience. This simple yet profound practice did more than halt negative loops. It awakened the abundance already woven into my soul's design. Each time I chose love, at the first hint of negativity, I aligned my inner frequency with the same light that had guided me through the tunnel. I became a living portal of that unconditional love, naturally drawing circumstances, relationships, and resources that resonated with my highest purpose. No longer a passive spectator of life's ups and downs, I became the conscious architect of my experience, manifesting not fleeting comforts, but the deep, enduring abundance born of a heart at peace. As my confidence grew, I discovered that meditation served as the foundation for sustaining this practice. In the stillness of early mornings, before the hospital's alarms ever sounded and before my family stirred, I would sit quietly, no elaborate rituals, just a darkened room, a single candle, and a picture of the golden light that had embraced me. Rather than fighting to empty my mind, I filled it with love, softly repeating "I choose love" on each inhalation and exhalation. With every breath, I dissolved residues of doubt and set my intention for the day, to catch and transform every negative thought into an affirmation of compassion. But true spiritual life was not confined to formal meditation. I learned that every moment outside that chamber of stillness could be a meditation in living love. When my car stalled on a rain-slick road, my first impulse was frustration, but I paused, breathed, and chose kindness, gently waving down a passing driver to help push me to safety, offering a genuine thank you that warmed both our hearts. When a colleague's harsh email landed in my inbox, instead of reacting with equal sharpness, I replied with empathy, writing, "I'm sorry you're dealing with so much. How can I support you?" These small acts became living extensions of my soul's mission, confirming that loving action springs from the choice to interrupt negativity and embody compassion. Through these experiences, two simple principles emerged, guiding every decision and interaction. First, love everyone, without exception, recognizing in each person a spark of the same divine essence that had led me beyond death. Second, understand that loving someone does not require liking every aspect of them, protecting my own energy by setting healthy boundaries, even as my heart remained open. This balance allowed me to extend forgiveness without becoming a doormat, to show care without being consumed by others' burdens. With meditation, I choose love, and these two golden rules woven into my daily rhythm, I watched abundance bloom in every sphere of my life. Projects that once stalled now progressed with ease. My relationships deepened with honest connection. My health stabilized as stress gave way to peace. Each morning, I awoke eager to greet the world, knowing that every thought shaped not only my own reality, but rippled outward to bless others. I have become a living testament to the secret revealed on the 2nd of April, 2020, that by halting negative thoughts and choosing love at every turn, we unlock our soul's native abundance and fulfill the purpose we manifested long before our first breath. Each day, as the sun painted the sky with soft hues, I returned to the quiet ritual that had become my anchor. Sitting cross-legged on a simple cushion, I closed my eyes and placed my hands gently over my heart. My breath slowed, and with each inhale I whispered, "I choose love," and with each exhale, I released any lingering tension. In those moments, the world outside faded until only the golden light remained a beacon, reminding me that every challenge, every whisper of doubt, was an invitation to realign with compassion. From the stillness of meditation sprang two guiding truths that shaped my every step. First, I resolved to love unconditionally, to see in every person, no matter how wounded or contentious, a child of the same divine creator who had cradled me in that celestial embrace. Whether greeting a weary nurse on the night shift, offering a kind word to a stranger in the supermarket, or simply smiling through my own pain, I practiced extending warmth wherever I went. Second, I learned to protect my own energy by understanding that love did not require me to like every behavior or conversation. I could cherish someone's intrinsic worth without tolerating disrespect or harm, a boundary set in love, not fear. These simple rules transformed my days. At the clinic, when a long-term patient's anger rose like a storm, I met it not with defensiveness, but with calm affirmation. I'm here to help you feel better. In my marriage, when stresses of healing and household chores tensed our home, I paused, visualized that golden river of love flowing through us, and spoke not of blame, but of partnership. We're in this together. Over time, conflicts dissolved into collaboration, and resentments melted into mutual respect. Perhaps the most vivid proof came when I volunteered at a community center offering free health screenings. A young mother, tearful and fearful, feared we would judge her for her illness and missed appointments. I met her gaze, placed a gentle hand on her shoulder, and silently chose love. She later told me that in that moment, she felt safe enough to confess her struggles with addiction. By holding space for her without judgment, I helped her connect with support groups and, ultimately, reclaim her health. Viewing that success, I realized how dramatically our world can shift when we interrupt negativity in ourselves and others and replace it with the simple affirmation, I choose love. In this way, meditation, mindful interruption of negative thoughts, and the two golden rules wove together into a living practice. Day by day, thought by thought, I drew my life into closer harmony with the purpose my soul had set before stepping into this world. No longer bound by fear or regret, I walked with confidence into each new dawn, knowing that the abundance I sought was not a distant promise, but a present reality kindled by the same light that had once carried me beyond death and back to love. As autumn's light filtered through the window each morning, I felt the quiet triumph of a life reclaimed. The secret revealed on that fateful night that by stopping a single negative thought and choosing love in its place, we unlock a wellspring of abundance that become the pulse of my everyday existence. No longer did I awaken to dread or self-criticism. Instead, I greeted each day with eagerness to practice compassion, to set healed boundaries, and to embody the warmth I once felt in that realm of light. Now, I invite you to join me in a 40-day journey of transformation. For the next 40 mornings, carve out 5 minutes at dawn to sit in stillness. Place your hand on your heart, breathe deeply, and with each inhale affirm, I choose love, releasing fear, regret, or anger on the exhale. Throughout your day, catch every self-doubt, hit the internal brakes, and replace it with the same mantra. Notice how your relationships open, how your work flows more smoothly, and how unexpected blessings arrive when you align your thoughts with boundless compassion. Share your experience, as small or great, so we can celebrate together. A kindness offered, a tension released, a moment of clarity born from love. Let your story light the way for others still trapped in old patterns. In doing so, you reinforce your own practice, build a community of hearts united, and ripple abundance far beyond what any single one of us could achieve alone. And so, I leave you with this question. Are you ready to stop the cycle of negativity and step into the abundant life you were destined to manifest? The choice, in every instant, is yours. May you feel the golden light of love guide every thought, every action, every breath today and always. With that, our journey comes full circle. You now hold the key. In each moment, you can interrupt a negative thought and choose love instead, setting in motion your soul's abundant design. Whether you're facing a daunting challenge or savoring a simple joy, remember that the same golden light that carried me beyond death is always within reach. Let it guide your thoughts, heal your heart, and nourish every breath you take. Your abundant life awaits. Start living it now.